Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Theorist, here with your host, JC Botero 67, aka Vanity Pride. Today we're taking a look at Tower of God, of course, Season 2, Episode 264. So, we start off with that vision of the key, right? And I want to do a shout out to Ethan Vale. He's a viewer of my show. And he reminded me that the key was a gift that Gustan gave to Baum. So that makes a lot of sense. So my thought behind this key is that Baum in defense used the power, or as another fellow YouTuber, Haku of the Tubes, has said before, maybe it's a defense mechanism that works on its own. In the case for Rachel, which I would assume would be the same case for Baum. So that explains the whole key thing. And, of course, it opens the doorway, as we all suspected. And then it drags them all in. Like, it sucks them all in to be what's beyond the door. And it's interesting because the groups get all separated. So, I get to say his name correctly this time. Wangnan. It just feels so weird for me to say it. Which I was kind of joking around. I was like, hey, maybe I'll just call him Chick Boy or Chirpy in honor of Quattro Blitz, which that's probably not how you pronounce his name either. I was going to call him number 4 as a joke because Quattro is number 4. I think his name is actually pronounced Quotro or something like that. So SIU is so good with like all these unique names. Probably even like play on names too because, like I said, number 4. I'm addicted with that for some reason, but don't mind me. So I do want to send out another shout out to another viewer. I'm sorry if I butcher up your username. It's Pobemb1958. They were the ones who provided the pronunciation for Wangnan. So thank you. But anyway, moving along. So Wangnan gets separated from the group. Rachel and Yura are in their own group. Kun is with Hockney. Baum is alone. Andrasi's actually with Kun and Hockney as well, but then she makes her way to Baum. But let me not get too carried away here. So there's this image I want to pause on right here. I just love how galactic it looks. It looks so legit. So then he's floating in time and space, I guess. And see, he even says that, you know, he regained consciousness after getting sucked through the door, but he was here alone, so... And then this robot thing pops up, right? I like to call it like a bejeweled robot, because it looks like it's wearing pearls, and it's all decked out, right? So, there's several of them that come at Baum, as well as the other groups like I've mentioned before. So here we have Kun, Andrasi, and Hockney facing off against one of those bejeweled robots. Same with, of course, Yura and Rachel a little bit later on. But I do want to pause on this image of Andrasi, because she's just like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna go find my bae. And it's so funny, because she uses Bong Bong to try and get to Baum. It doesn't take her very far, and she just ends up falling. But she will find him later on, so, hey. Alright, so now we come to Yura and Rachel fighting off these robots as well. And I like to poke fun at Yura, because she's like, what a relief, Rachel, that we fell together. Sorry. I don't envision her being that girly, but I just had to poke fun at that, because I thought it was funny. Alright. So then this scale, maybe it's giving a laugh. Because I was like, who is Coco, right? It must be some chuckle of the scale. So yeah, so each group is confronted by this large scale, and the scale's name is the Scale of the Past. And so it basically shows at each person their past, shows them where they need to go, as well as their sworn enemy. So, for example, we have Wangnan getting sent to the King's Cradle, which will be interesting to see. I don't know if we'll get a glimpse of that next chapter or chapters down the road, but it is assured that we will get to see what this King's Cradle thing is all about. As for Baum, he doesn't have a past, is what the thing is saying. So I was kind of like joking around, and I'm like, wait, my boy, are you a robot? Like, how does he not have a past, right? And then they end up putting him in quarantine because of that, because he is a threat to this floor. And so it makes me sad, because this thing coils around his leg, and I'm like, no, like, where are they going to take my baby? Like, are they going to take him to an underground cave and just, like, keep him there? And this is just all, like, taking me back to first season and, like, first chapter when we see that he was in that cave. Maybe not first chapter, but you guys get what I mean. Like, in first season when, you know, he was isolated and Rachel found him. Like, I don't want that situation to happen to Baum again. And then it's super cute because guess who shows up? My girl Andrassi shows up to save her boy. But they get dragged into quarantine together, of course. And so now we come to this part. It's the Hidden Floor prologue. And so I want to go ahead and read through all of that. So here we go. It's story time, guys. All right. Long, long ago, having succeeded in a revolution on the train, Zahar sensed that he would soon become a godlike being. So he sought to leave his still human self somewhere on the train. When one of the disciples from the workshop found out about this concern of Zahar's, he gave Zahar the mirror of the past as a gift. And that mirror is said to have had a mysterious ability to store a person's present self within it. Zahar was delighted to receive that mysterious mirror as a gift, and he immediately tried to store himself in the mirror. Then, as soon as Zahar looked into the mirror, there was a tremendous flash of light as the mirror stored Zahar's appearance. And Zahar is said to have looked upon the version of himself in the world within the mirror with great satisfaction and wonder. Afterwards, having heard this mysterious news, several of Zahar's companions stored their current selves in the mirror. And in order to show his previous selves to people riding the train, Zahar placed the mirror in the last room on the train, so that only those who have cleared the entire train may see the world within the mirror. Then, Zahar, having conquered the tower, became something like a god of the tower. Zahar became a king, and the disciple from the workshop who returned to the train experienced something very mysterious. The stored data not only of Zahar, but of everyone who had cleared the train and looked into the mirror, were living within the mirror and creating their own new world. Alright, so I'm going to pause there for a quick second. So I already had a theory of this being like a parallel universe thing, because it's like these people are still living in present day outside of the mirror, but then they also have like their past selves in the mirror. So if there's going to be like some parallel universe shit going on in here, this is really cool. Like, kudos to SIU, because that's really some cool shit. And I'd like to see more of that getting developed. I was also just thinking, as I was reading through this, that, you know how Zahar stored himself in that mirror? Like, what if that was still, and he was still human then. So what if that was still, like, a good side of Zahar? Like, because I've mentioned in, like, the previous review, I think, that he could be a corrupt king, right? And that's why we have Foog established. That's why we have Wolhake Song as well. So, that's the point that I'm trying to make here. So yeah, so he could be bad in this world, but maybe in the mirror world, he's a better person, just because, you know, he was human back then. He didn't have the godlike powers just yet. You know, he didn't have, like, the fame and fortune and all that. So, I mean, because that can change people, you know? So I feel like maybe there is a good side to Zahar that we will meet through this mirror versus the one in real life. Alright, so continuing on. The disciple decided to protect that mysterious world like a colony of microorganisms in a flask, and since then a spell of oblivion has been placed on that room, so that whenever those who have stored themselves in the mirror reveal anything about that place, they forget about its existence. And after creating a single door leading to the world within the mirror, he created only 2 keys which could open that door, and gave the keys only to Zahar and the administrator of the train. After hearing the story of that place, Zahard was amused and is said to have called it the hidden floor, of course. Alright, so end of story time. And on we continue with the story. So here we have Rock, and he sees that light is coming from the door. It's clearly opening up. And of course, it is Hockney and Kuhn falling from that door. And it's really funny because Hockney's trying to give a warning. He's like, we're gonna get eaten. And so this image, I don't know, like, at first I thought it was Rock, but then I was like, no, those teeth aren't quite Rock's. And then it's just so funny because Chomp, they did get eaten. I was not expecting that at all. I was, and like these faces right here, so entertaining. So then Rock gets like fed up and he's like in protective daddy mode, okay? And he's like, I'm gonna go save them. So he's facing off against this monster. Guess what happens to him too? Chomp. It's so funny. And then this girl's reaction cracks me up. She almost looks a little like Coon. She's like a dark-haired Coon. Anyway. She's like, oh yeah, that's my savior. Like, he's gonna rescue them. Or not. Cracked me up. I love the humor that he adds to his story. It's so great. But don't worry. Coon, Hockney, and Rock are fine. They're just inside this monster. And they'll be okay. Maybe there's something within the monster, you know? It's kind of like the flower of Saijana, how it was inside, like, that creature. It could be the same thing with this one. So I'm wondering if something like that's going to happen. So then we come to Bomb and Andrasi in the quarantined area. And they were legit about to get smashed with this thing, okay? It's crazy. It looks gruesome. And I'm like, ooh, like, there are blood on these spikes already. Like, did they go? Like, no. But not to worry, because they are floating in this, like, yellow sphere. So someone saved them. And surprise, surprise, turns out to be Yu Hong Sung, the test director of the second floor. It's Coffee Addict, guys. He's back. See, I've always liked Coffee Addict. I know he's not always on the good side, but he's an interesting character, and I'm glad that he's back. I was not expecting him to return. But he's here, and we'll see what plays out, because he's even stoked. He's like, it looks like waiting here all this time has finally paid off. So, you know, obviously he was behind that plan in first season when they had to do that submerged fish test. And, you know, Bomb supposedly died. So he definitely was behind the plan. I don't know what his role is going to be moving on as of this point, but we shall see what happens. So that's pretty much it for the review. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you next week.